The juvenile cash.
Are you ready, sir?
I'm not.
That'd be great.
I'm busy talking. Sorry.
Me too.
Oh, I thought I was
Is this off?
Good evening, everyone. All right, at this time, I'll call to order the regularly scheduled committee meeting for the Village of Midlothian, Wednesday, January 19th, 2022, at 7:01 p.m. Roll call, please, Clerk Moskal.
Trustee Katie,
Here.
Trustee Crowley,
Here.
Trustee Hilly, Trustee Ivan,
Here.
Trustee Johnson,
Here.
Trustee Killily,
Here.
Mayor LaRue.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll open the floor to public comment. Is there any public comment tonight?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to throw out there, people that aren't on social media that might come across this, we are having a garden cleanup party on Saturday, March 12th over at the Liberty Garden by the gazebo. If the weather doesn't cooperate, we're going to postpone till the following day, Sunday the 13th in March. So if anybody wants to come help,
You talking about the vegetable garden?
yes. And pollinator garden.
Sure thing.
So we're going to clean it out from last year and get it ready for the season.
What time are you talking about?
Oh, 9 a.m., thank you. 9 a.m. Saturday the 12th.
9 a.m. Gee.
I know, but, people are busy for the weekend and, we want to get it done and over with and then still have more of Saturday to do things. So if anybody's available, want to come out, we're also open to suggestions, ideas moving forward as well. So myself and the founders picked that weekend to get it prepped and ready to go.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Sandra?
Hi, my name is Sandy Cortez. I live on Knox in Midlothian. I just have a couple things tonight. Mayor, can I ask for an update on the Kedzie property, the old public aid building? Is there anything?
They did acquire some of the properties, but there were still some issues with the other pins. They're trying to amass all the pins to give them enough square footage to build what they're going to build. They've backed off on what they originally brought to us, trailers. They're, I guess I'm not supposed to say too much. They backed off on the original plan to build where they need more space. So if they can get just the vacant properties there now, there'll be enough to do what they want to do, what they're be contracted to do through the federal government.
Okay. And is there any kind of time frame on that, or?
No, unfortunately.
Okay. A couple other quick things. Observation. When you're watching at home on Facebook, I think the middle from Trustee Johnson to Trustee Crowley is wonderful to hear. Unfortunately, I think Trustee Hilly and Trustee Ivan are closer to the microphone, and Trustee Killily and Trustee Caveney are farther away from the microphone.
And you still can't hear me?
And it does. It makes it hard sometimes to hear you, especially if you're just commenting on somebody else's. So that's just food for thought.
We were going to give her a collar mic, but we were afraid
How about a headset?
we were afraid she was not turn it off when she walked out.
A couple other things, Trustee Johnson, the handbook, I think you're doing a great job. I think that some of the discussion, though, gets a little tedious. When you are at home watching, or you're watching it later, I think, I'll give you an example about the cannabis, when you were talking about the alcohol. I'm not talking about you in particular, but it seemed like it was just stuck. It was a hamster wheel, it just kept going the same thing. So I think, that's just something to keep in mind, is that the residents are interested, but it's just the same thing repetitive. So just, kind of keep that in mind.
You think we lost some customers during the video?
I think you might have had a few people that tuned out, yes. And another thing I wanted to touch on tonight, I see Trustee Crowley has about the police department and the lateral. I understand that's a nationwide issue. I'm very saddened by some of the recent people who have left Midlothian. And I think it's scary that we're losing so many. And I know Mayor LaRue has said in the past publicly many times that Midlothian loves their police officers and their veterans. And I would like to just say I'm concerned. I'm just very concerned by the number. I know you are. I've already read your, it's just hard.
It's very difficult. And I'll tell you, Sandy, it's also, I mean, what's even scarier is that people are not applying for the jobs, not just police, but fire and everything
Right.
else. We're getting, Dan, would you say a quarter of the turnout that we used to get for our testing?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's a nationwide epidemic that is very, very scary to me as well.
It is, and people need to be very aware.
Yep.
And as the residents, we should, as we always do, show love to our police officers. They may still leave, but we want them to know that we care about them and that we support them.
Agreed.
You know, John Pace, Ryan Gully, we miss those guys a lot. And we don't want to lose anymore. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything for you? No? All right, seeing there's no further public comment, I close the floor to public comment and move on to trustee business. Trustee Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. As you see under my business, it is our next section to review for our employee handbook, and I provided sections 2.11 through 2.20 because there's a number of them. What I thought would be helpful is if I pointed out the proposed templated policies that I thought we needed some help, advice, direction for, and so through my item, I identified the policy and also identified either the trustee or the attorney to provide any feedback as to whether or not these were sound policies. Did we want to make any changes? And so I present these 10 policies for your consideration, and I know I've heard back from Trustee Keaveney, and she asked about informing that actually the village had a social media policy, and I looked it up, and it was passed on February 26th of 2019, and I compared it to the templated policy, and it's very similar. So again, as with the other policy, my question is, would you like to keep the currently passed policy, and we can put that into the employee handbook, or would you like to use the templated policy that has been proposed? Both areas are dealing with professional use, personal use. I think the templated policy goes into a little bit more detail, but it's not to say it's better, quote unquote, than what the current social media policy is for the village. So I appreciate that. And Kathy, I looked up what expatriate.
Oh, the ex parte?
Parte.
Yeah.
I always call it patriot. And so if you can't interfere with a request for a proposal, and to
Right.
me, I wasn't sure if you were asking that versus what other policy.
No, I wasn't sure if there was
Okay.
more communication policies in
Okay.
here that might dovetail into. So I just wanted to
Yep,
make you aware.
I looked it
that
up
there-
too. So it's I kind of found it interesting that it's about interfering with proposals and things like that. I know Trustee Crowley had some questions regarding the technology resources policy, and I had asked her to consider it, or if we should reach out to Proven, just to make sure that if this policy is worthy of what we want our policy to be from a technology point of view. And the same thing with the security for portables, data storage devices.
I
Same
have,
thing.
I have a couple changes,
Okay.
Kathy. I just was not able to get them to you by today.
Not a problem. If you want to send them to me, I'm happy to incorporate
By
them.
Friday, I'm also having a meeting with Proven tomorrow evening, a phone conference
Okay.
to go over a couple of things, and I
Great.
asked them to look at it as well.
Perfect.
But I have a couple of things I want to
Sure.
clarify before I put pen to paper on that one.
Can I ask a question? I read the safe driving policy. Do we already have one of those? Do we have a safe driving policy? I mean, I don't
The
recall.
departments, the three departments have their own, what do you call them? Chief? Policy and procedures that cover that,
General orders.
general orders.
For general orders. Should we maybe dovetail that into this instead of adopting a separate one?
So the police department's general orders are specific to the police officers. Dan and I did have a couple conversations about this already, and he's going to be reviewing the ones we pass to make sure that, usually the ones we pass are less stringent than the police department's. So he's going to be reviewing to make sure, but their general orders are more stringent usually than the policies we pass.
So then, is it better that we adopt this one for non-union employees then?
Well,
It's-
I mean, because
all
would the
of them
fire
are-
department and public works have a driving policy?
All of these are contingent on if they don't
Conflict with
conflict with the CBA.
Okay.
And the general orders for the police department.
I'm just wondering if,
I'm assuming, does fire department have their own general orders, Dan? Don?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
I'm just wondering, should our policy be strict across the board for, same for everybody, or?
Well, I think
not?
it's different because like they have cars that they drive for their job, so it's, a lot of it doesn't apply. So I think I think a general policy is fine across the board, and then where it needs to be more stringent, it is. I mean,
I
some
agree.
of the employees don't even use village cars.
Right, okay. I'm fine with this one then.
I like it. And I think the social media policy is certainly at least the same or a little bit more stringent.
Trustee Ivan? You did
Yes.
this original social media policy, is that right?
Yeah, but then it got rewritten by, I think, Nick.
Okay, all
And
right.
that was the one that we rewrote and passed.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's,
Is the social media policy on board docs?
Yes.
Yes.
It is, okay.
do we have an auditing official?
That should be the treasurer. And let me see.
That's a pretty empty paragraph.
Yeah.
For which one?
Auditing official, it's
Yeah,
on
but
page
that's-
18,
Page 18? Let me see.
or is that part of?
They don't, but when they were referring to audit, they're not referring to a financial audit in this policy.
It's referring to,
Whistleblower.
Whistleblower.
let me go back up.
Yeah.
I
Probably the
don't have a touchscreen laptop. It'd be real quick if I had a touchscreen laptop.
Certainly would, sir.
I can do that real quick. Go there.
Wow.
All right, so it's on, never mind.
I have a green marker here, Mayor,
But
if you want to
don't-
write on your screen.
But in line with that, do we have a
Okay.
person?
No,
So we have to appoint a person.
yes.
Well,
Well, I
if-
think it should be the ethics officer.
Right,
It should-
because we're talking
Would you concur?
whistleblower.
I think it should be somebody outside
Yeah,
our employment.
yeah.
Oh, yes,
Like-
for the whistleblowing purposes, yes.
Somebody that
Totally
doesn't-
outside?
Yeah, yes.
You mean somebody, you mean not even our ethics officer?
Attorney Valdez, what do you think about that?
I am a vendor, I'm not an employee of the city, so that's typically where all this stuff gets bailed off on, to be,
So
But-
the ethics officer.
But
Yeah.
you could be involved in the,
Yeah, but he's still the ethics
Yeah,
officer,
yeah.
though. For the,
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
if it-
know, I
but if-
know.
But if someone's blowing the whistle against him, then we would have to give it to somebody else, just like that other policy we talked about last
The
week.
clerk, and then maybe have to
What-
appoint
Right.
an outside person.
Yeah, that's what I would just appoint an
Yeah.
outside person, because it's just easier. You shouldn't have to think about, well, if I can't talk to you, then I can talk to you. Just appoint an outside person.
So first thing comes to mind is Attorney Murphy, or is that still too close? Is that
Well, I don't know. He does work for us.
Maybe we could check what other municipalities do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if we want to
Maybe check
hire
it.
somebody to do this
Yeah.
job.
Attorney Vallis is checking that.
Okay,
All right,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I have.
okay. And the only question I had about technology was that part of the policy was that with permission, that an employee could do non-business research
On their own time. That's
Pardon
one of
me?
the things, on their own time.
on their own time. And I think anything on the outside should be out.
So I agree, that's one of my highlighted things. The only thing that I would suggest is some of our, employees and that are taking classes, and they're getting reimbursed
Oh, yes,
by the
right.
village.
Okay.
So if they're doing things, if they stay here late to write their own paper or something
Right.
like that, as long as they're
Right.
not using our resources,
Yeah.
Or
That's the thing.
research either, because research is one of the things you get into all sorts of troubles with.
But the nice thing about that is it says with their written approval of their supervisor.
Right.
So it's going to be reviewed. I mean, I have that on my list of things to question as well, so just so you know, I do. I had a couple other things
Okay,
too
and
with it, but I just want
You're
to,
going to ask Proven about that.
well, I have a couple resources that I've asked
Okay,
to
all
look
right.
at for me, yes.
Because ransomware,
I've asked Proven to look
ransomware is
at it.
always in the back of my mind.
I have asked Proven to look at it, but I also have some other resources that
Okay.
I've asked to look at it and just kind of give me their idea on what they use with their
Okay.
company, just so that there's some
Okay.
contrast.
Sorry, are we done?
Does anyone else have any other questions?
I don't. I'm good.
Didn't Proven put something embedded in our emails that tells us that it's not from inside, that this email is coming from outside,
Outside external sources.
external sources?
Sounds like a movie.
I have seen
Well, we
that,
have,
Barb.
I mean, we do have, we have
It's coming from outside.
firewalls, we have different things that do that, but I think Outlook also does that.
All right. It's just something, you said ransomware, and it's something, maybe I need to send out a,
Well, we also have a data backup, which, protects us from that stuff where they freeze your computers and things like that. It's a backup off-site that we can have access to within 30 minutes and be up and running from the cloud.
I was just thinking.
Not in the cloud or on it, but from it.
I don't think it works that way.
I think it does.
Just send a reminder to all staff for me to verify the source of the emails they're clicking on, and,
We did that a couple months ago when we had.
right, when I got it.
When you,
Security
yeah,
training.
we did do that a couple months ago, but there's always room for reminders.
Okay. So, yeah.
So based on what I'm hearing, once I work with trustee Crowley on some of her questions and we get some clarification, if I get this done, may I bring it to the board, put it on the consent agenda for next week as this section's approval for our employee handbook?
The only issue would be, we won't know what your conversation will be.
Okay. I can bring it back before the board, and we could have that discussion so that you're aware of.
Why don't we do that?
Okay, that's fine.
Because.
And then if you're in agreement, can we then still pass it next week?
Yeah, you can do a,
Put it on your agenda for discussion and approval?
yeah.
Is
So
that-
then you can share with the whole board here what your conversation was. All right?
Okay. Thank you, that's all I have.
And I will review 218 and 219.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Ivan?
Thank you, Mayor. We had a finance meeting the other day that went well, and we're working on some of the questions that were brought up. Other than that, everything seems to be fine, so that's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Caveney?
I have nothing to report this evening, Mayor. However, I do reserve the right.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Killy?
A lot of last minute things that aren't on the agenda, so I'll try to
That's fine.
work with that. I asked the land bank to send a representative to our committee meeting to help educate us about what the resources are of the land bank. And they replied today that they could work with February 2nd or February 16th. And as far as I'm concerned, February 2nd will be okay, unless anybody else has any questions.
Sooner the better. Just a reminder to the board, though, I don't know that that'll be a lengthy talk, but I think we have a lot of questions, so I don't know.
And you would like them in person rather than Zoom?
The
Yeah.
problem with Zoom is if we're all going to be here,
Yeah,
Right.
we'd have to have all of our,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking, okay.
it's terrible.
Okay,
Down
so
yesterday,
February,
did not work.
It did not work.
Yeah.
it won't be forever. It'll be fairly short and sweet, and we'll have an opportunity to ask questions also. So,
She
here we
seemed
go.
she seemed very willing to do this, so it was.
Yes, oh,
it was really nice.
absolutely.
Okay.
So she doesn't have a problem coming here in person?
no.
Okay. So February 2nd?
February 2nd.
February 2nd.
Okay.
What time do you want to start, lead off, Mayor? What time do you want me to tell them to be here?
7?
We'll stick with 7, I guess. We'll have them part of we'll put them before public comment, I guess.
Okay.
So beginning.
Do you want to reply, do you want me to?
You got it.
Okay. All right, next, fire department. So the, Julie, our admin, is going to work off-site until further notice, and fire department has talked to trustee Crowley, who was very helpful with giving them information to get a VPN so they could work off-site. And they are going to want to buy a laptop, which I believe is about $1,000 from CDW. That is already, Maria, that is already on the agenda, so you won't have to, never mind. Okay, so it's already on the agenda for next week. Next, I'll talk to everybody about the personnel deficiency, staffing deficiencies we have for the fire department, and it just got worse because we have one of our younger members who is going to, wants to work for another department. So that will happen, we believe, shortly. And that will leave us 4 people short? I don't know if it's, one is going to be on permanent disability. One is going to retire in May. And I think we have another person on short-term disability now, and then with this person, we're going to be 3 or 4 people short.
I think I'm not sure if you sent an email yet. I did have a meeting with the Police and Fire Commission, the chairman of the Police and Fire Commission.
Yes.
We have talked to Chief Delaney about the lateral, which I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, but I did ask him to send an email, and I don't know if he has yet, to you and Steve, and copy me to set up a meeting to discuss what we want to do as far as hiring.
Fine. That'd be very good.
Okay.
So-
I already asked him to do that. He might have already sent the email, but I got a couple.
I got an
from him.
email this afternoon
Okay.
from
Yeah.
Chief Hotwagner, but I didn't see that. So Chief Hotwagner wants to hire 3 firefighters, and as soon as possible, 1 immediately who's qualified as a paramedic, and 2 others when they qualify as paramedics, because they're not paramedics now, when they're going to the paramedic school right now. He proposes that we apply for the SAFER grant, which will subsidize the salary and benefits of these 3 firefighters for 3 years. It will pay for 75% for the first 2 years and 35% for the 3rd year. The stipulation, of course, is that we have to keep these firefighters on for 3 years, which is no problem at all because we don't have enough staff as it is. So the grant is due in 2 weeks, and it does require a lot of documentation. And so they're going to be working hard to get that documentation, and as soon as they get that, we will put it on the agenda, apply for this grant. We have 1 other part-timer right now, and I don't know how long that's going to last. So again, right now, we're going to be using a lot of overtime until we can hire these people, hire the full complement of people. And even then, we still may be short 1 person. Again, this is as Trustee Crowley's going to tell you also, this is a national problem. And I don't know what the solution is. Again, we're at full employment right now for our economy, and it's tough for a lot of businesses and organizations to hire proper staffing.
So trustee, just a question real quick, is this in addition to being full staff, so you'll increase the amount of full time?
No, we're going to be at regular staffing. We're not going to increase positions.
Oh, so these 3 are missing?
3 are
staffs.
missing.
Got it.
Right, because disability, 1 will retire, and then one's going to leave us. And then I think right now, we still have one that's on short-term disability. We're hoping
Do you know
to
how
get,
many we
hoping to
have?
get back.
I just looked at the list the other day. Do we have enough on the list?
We have 5.
5. Okay.
5, but only 2 that are paramedics. And
Right.
so we can hire, we're going to hire the one that's paramedic, who's always already a part-timer for us. And then we have 2 others that are going to paramedic school. So when they get, hopefully they graduate from paramedic school, that's not a slam dunk, but hopefully they will, that we can hire them as firefighters.
So we're down to the point where we're probably gonna have to do another test and create another list.
We are, but, the question is, everybody's in that position. I think we need to publicize this better, take the test availability better, and I think we need to publicize the job a little bit better, the benefits of the job, the public service aspect of the job. I did talk to Chief Hodwagner about having a firefighter work with or find some sort of work, inter communication with Bremen High School. I thought that would be a good thing, but unfortunately, he doesn't have anybody that has the time to do it. Everybody's assigned. Now, the board could say that they don't mind paying overtime for this, for whatever time it is. I think the police department's already done a lot of work with this.
With the colleges. I think last time we did it was, I think it was Moraine Valley.
Okay.
Didn't someone go out to Moraine Valley like a year and a half ago? Yeah, career fairs, that's what I was trying to say. So that, that might be an option because, a lot of the junior colleges especially, they're,
They have
but I think it's-
firefighter classes, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
It'd be a great idea to go
Right.
there.
Right.
You can also send the job posting to the junior colleges for their, and they'll post it for you. So, that's also something.
Well, you have your youth group too.
Yes.
So, I think the fire department has to get in the game here a little bit and somehow. So we'll work on that a little more. But the priority is to keep Station 2 open, and if we have to spend overtime on it, we have to do that, but we'll try to rectify that situation as soon as possible.
So,
I'm
go ahead, Kath.
Then I have a question about the scholarships, the grant. So do they, if they are given a grant, we're paying 75% of their salary over the 3-year period, 75, 78, 35.
Right.
Do these firefighters then sign a commitment letter that they will stay beyond the 3 years, say for another year? Like a lot of times in professional business, if your master's degree, for example, is paid for, every year that you've gone to school, you have to give, at least my organization.
We have
you have to give back each
Right.
year, otherwise you have to, not that the firefighters would have to pay it back, but in my organization, you have to pay back that money, so it's an incentive for them to stay if they want the master's.
We have that for
We
education.
have that already.
But
Okay.
this is not, this is something completely different. It's,
Yeah, I wasn't sure that if.
And
because it's-
3 years would probably be the length of it anyway, so,
This
I-
is under FEMA.
yeah.
Right.
It's
And
under FEMA.
and they're not
so-
getting in excess of their salary, this is just the grant that's helping the village cover a portion of their regular
Right. My
salary.
concern is if the FEMA's, for example, FEMA's paying for it, and after the 3rd year, they're like, I'm gonna leave.
You can't.
I guess I'm looking for.
You can't-
No,
You can't-
it's not for training.
Yeah.
I mean, because even if we were paying for it ourselves, they could still do that in 3 years if they
3
want.
years is like the max anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going to have people moving to other departments. The question is, if it was education, yes, we would want to be reimbursed, but other than that,
I think you're all hitting on the head. This is absolutely a nationwide crisis. There's millions of people my age retiring over the next 5 years, 10 years, whatever.
3 years.
3. And there's just not the bodies to fill these positions And there doesn't seem to be that desire anymore to, at this time, to work in public service. We've talked about this numerous times over the last few years. I mean, it's getting worse and worse. Chicago typically has 3,000 take the test, and they only had 300. I mean, so it's not that Chicago pays more than us, it's just not the people, not the bodies to fill the spots. And it sincerely concerns me how we're going to fill all these spots in all the departments over the next 10, 15 years. I don't know. Not that obvious. Anyways, that's my spiel. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox. Please, join the public service. Please, all you young people out there.
That's all. I
You
have.
had something else? Trustee Curley? Or did I?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Then I'll move on to Trustee Crowley.
Thank you, sir. I have a couple things on my agenda for discussion this evening. The first one is the discussion, if there's any discussion about the lateral list. I did send an email to the board depicting what we're going to be doing, but I wanted to make sure everybody was aware, like you, of the problems and the things that we're facing. And, you know, it's not just getting new people, but it's also making sure that you maintain seasoned people as well, because having a whole slew of new people doesn't help either. You have to have people to train them. You have to have people on every shift to train them. So it becomes, you know, important to do both. So I didn't know if anybody had any questions on that.
No.
Nope. Next on my agenda is the discussion of the flock safety. I did have conversation today with Trustee Caveney, and we both have a couple questions. I think Chief Delaney actually checking on that with the rep that we've been working with. One of the questions is, and I don't know if this was just a generic memorandum of understanding, but when we met with them, the discussion was that Flock would maintain all their cameras. That's not clear in the warranty. These are not our, you know, they're not our cameras. You know, a lease or a rent, however you want to say. We would be not housing anything in-house, but they don't depict that warranty well in the MOU. So we need to have that clarified. And the other thing was, in our discussions, it's a 2-year contract with it should be a 2-year contract with an option to renew for an additional 3, and that's not clear either.
Right.
So those two things, I'm having Chief Delaney, he may have already sent an email to clarify those and have those corrected. Other than that, did anybody have any questions or comments?
For those that don't know what we're talking about, this is a company called Flock Safety. They provide license plate reader cameras, and we're proposing that 10 of them be installed in Midlothian at our high traffic area intersections, Cicero, Pulaski, and Kedzie. So just want to make that clear.
So one of the things that we, you know, I sent a lot of information and a lot of videos and you know, just wanted to make sure everybody had as much information as possible. Also in discussion with Flock, many of their customers, we have a lot of customers in the our neighboring towns. The benefit of this system is that we share information with different agencies. So, you know, Posen, Robbins, I mean, I can go on and on, but you have this big multitude that everybody has access, so you're sharing information. One of the other things that I had mentioned when I sent out the email is when we, as we stated a few months ago, we were going to have meetings about safety concerns and things like that with the Park District. We've had those. This is something that we brought up to the Park District, and we will be offering to them as well to add a camera at their parking lot, so that they have a little bit more security and options. You know, with that, they were going to take it. We're going to get them all the information, and they're going to take it to their board to see if their board would be interested. So, you know, it's kind of a work with everybody and get as much information as possible. And this system has already been used in incidents that have happened in Midlothian to track down so we know it's already proven. One of the other things when we met with them is Flock says that a number of their customers do use it in their TIF areas. It is something that you can use, from what I understand it has, I've not put this by the village attorney yet, but it is a service that will help promote business if businesses feel safer and feel there's more options out there for them available, for safety in their businesses. So something we can look at as well.
I just got one little question. I'm assuming it's real time for our department,
Correct.
and you said we could share it with other departments. Is that real time as well?
It is.
So everything.
It's a
will be-
login. Everything is a radar screen.
So then that means it's in the cloud or on the cloud?
Maybe it's next to
We
the
don't,
cloud.
you know what, none of the information is stored on our servers, it's all stored by Flock. So they might actually have a cloud or two that they put them in, I don't know.
Sounds perfect.
I appreciate all of your support for this. I know Chief Delaney and Trustee Crowley have been working on this a while, but I think it's clear to everyone that times are changing, and if we don't stay up with the times, we will lose, and I don't plan on losing. So this is a unfortunate but much necessary movement in the right direction to keep Midlothian and its residents and its business owners safe. So I appreciate all the work that you put into it. Chief, thanks.
And then one last thing I just wanted to bring up, it is not on my agenda, but I believe I'll be getting some information in the next day or so from Chief Delaney about a new application we have for our EMA group. So I will be sending that out to everybody, and if nobody minds, I'll get it out in the next couple days. If we could put it on our agenda for discussion and approval, if anybody has any questions for next week. I believe we pay them a stipend of $10 an hour on call. Is that it? 12? What do we pay?
We had to increase it to
15?
minimum wage, I believe.
15, I think you're right. $15 an hour on call. I think the last time we checked, it was like $800 for the whole year that we had paid everybody. So just wanted to give everybody that heads up. I should be having that information shortly to share with everybody. And that's all I have this evening, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Attorney Valadez.
Just to keep the board informed, I'm aware that there is a lot of concern regarding the status of the SVN nightclub at 147th between Kilpatrick and Knox. Because the board members may have that question raised to them, the Illinois Liquor Commission had our first status date. SVN has appealed to the Illinois Liquor Commission, which is their right, to review the decision of the local commissioner, who is the mayor. Under the statute, once they file their appeal, they are allowed to reopen. Thus far, SVN has decided not to immediately proceed to open. So that is the status of the proceedings with regard to the license of SVN. That's all.
When can we expect a decision by the Illinois Liquor Commission?
It was set for status for another 3 weeks. That was for the village to provide the record for SVN to put any additional motions that they may want. Again, because if you recall, in November, we passed an ordinance saying that the review by the Illinois Liquor Commission must be done on the record. No new evidence will be admitted, and it's just going to be that the state commission is going to make the decision based upon the hearing record that we had here.
Thank you, sir. That's it?
To answer the question quickly, probably about 60 days at the earliest.
From today?
From today to decide whether they're going to uphold or reverse your decision.
You said at the earliest?
Probably, yes.
And what about at the latest?
At the latest, I would probably guess somewhere around 90 to 120. It's because they are working remote too, so they have to do the Zoom hearings. And believe it or not, the commission actually has to have a hearing, whether it be on the record or not, for every revocation or suspension across the state of Illinois. So, they have a lot of work to do.
And at any point in, say, the 90 days, they can open up if they want.
They have that right under the statute, yes.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Under my business, I'm looking for a motion to approve the appointment of Jay Johnson and Philip Powers to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Clerk Moscow.
Trustee Kavy,
Aye.
Trustee Crowley,
Aye.
Trustee Ivan,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Present.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And if you don't know, Philip Powers is a young man that I was lucky enough to meet, working with some of the trustees and clerk at the St. Chris Fiesta. Great young man. He graduated from college, and his degree is in public administration. And he's looking to get more involved with municipal planning and zoning. So obviously a perfect fit. Great young man, and looking forward to seeing some big things out of him. Jay, no, I'm kidding. Jay's a good guy, been around a long time, and he's on the Plan Commission, and I've always been told that there's always a good idea to have one person on plan and zoning, so that made perfect sense as well. And that's all I have. Clerk Moscow?
I just have one thing on the agenda for tonight, and I would ask also for a board member to make a motion to approve the November 3rd committee meeting minutes. These were sent out a few weeks ago, and they were supposed to be on last week's.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, Clerk Moscow.
Trustee Kavy,
Aye.
Trustee Crowley,
Aye.
Trustee Ivan,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
Aye.
Motion carries. And that is all I have tonight, sir.
Thank you, sir. Then, seeing there's no further business coming for the board, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out on a cold night. Gonna get worse tomorrow, right? Tonight, tomorrow?
It's right here.